Hello, I'm David Ellenstein, Artistic Director at North Coast Repertory Theater. Thank you for joining us today for Theater Conversations. If you enjoy watching these, please click like, subscribe, and share. It's free to do, and it helps us get more visibility for these videos. Thank you. Hello and welcome to Theater Conversations. It is my pleasure today to be joined by my friend, the ultra-talented Elijah Rock. Hey, Elijah.
Hey, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good.
You're in Vegas where you're currently living. Is that correct?
I am. I'm in Vegas and it's hot. Really hot.
As it's meant to be.
107 yesterday or something crazy like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So just so the North Coast Rep audience knows, Elijah and I got to know each other because when we took our production of Words by Ira Gershwin, which we had done originally at North Coast Rep, and we ended up doing it up in Los Angeles at the Colony Theater, Elijah played the crooner, the male singer in the show, and he knocked it out of the park. He was awesome. And so we became friends then. Elijah has then been back down to North Coast numerous times to do concerts at the theater and also be the entertainer at our gala one year, and has become a great friend. So you're a singer, an actor, a dancer, a Renaissance man. How did you get started in the theater and why?
Oh, great question. I mean, I it's one of those questions where it's like I can't remember when I wasn't, you know. I mean, when I was a little boy, I went to a boys' school, a Jewish boys' school in Cleveland called University School. And we were very fortunate to have a great arts program along with, you know, the academic standards and good sports, you know, an all-around solid boys' school. But they really made sure that the arts were significant. So, you know, this was, you know, a time where instruments were still in school. and they are still in schools, some more schools than others. But we had just, you know, we could just do whatever we wanted to do. So theater was a huge part of our curriculum. So my first star role in the show was me playing Charlotte in Charlotte's Web in the 5th grade. and I mean, and I killed it.
And you're still spinning webs to this day.
And all boy cast, and it was awesome. But I remember the teacher / director really taking this seriously. You know, and because she took it so seriously, I was like, wow, this is a serious craft here, you know. So that was an example of an early experience. And then we had choirs. You know, we had the choirs, and I was soloing in the choirs when I was little. But then my church experience was really significant because I grew up going to an urban Mennonite church. Most people are familiar with rural Mennonites in the Midwest, but we had our pastors of our church were from rural Ohio and started a church in the inner city Cleveland, a multicultural urban Mennonite church. So we had a multicultural gospel choir. So we were singing the hymns, which was great because I learned, you know, about the beautiful hymns that the Protestants arranged. And then, you know, we had this gospel choir. So I got enough soul at church to you know, get turned on to gospel and the spiritual music. But there was our music minister was a classically trained vocalist. And he was the one, Gerald Hughes, who has passed on, he was the one who saw my classical voice, or a timbre to my voice where he thought, wow, he could really become a wonderfully trained singer. And so with his tutelage and the opportunities that were happening at school, he helped steer my mom in the direction for, like, all right, this is a good time at 12 for Eric to audition for the Cleveland Orchestra Children's Chorus, the Cleveland Opera Children's Chorus. So I was a boy soprano until my voice changed about 13. Then went all downhill from there.
Well, I just want to say, those that have been lucky enough to see your shows or see you perform, I mean, you have that cool, suave, beautiful bass baritone voice that you have, but then you pop into like an opera aria and you just kill it. You just blow it away. And it's amazing to watch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the classical voice is my foundation.
Right. So you grew up in Cleveland, and that's where you got your start working around in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I met you in LA. Did you go straight to LA from Cleveland, or did you go to New York first, or how did your path end up to LA? Before we'll get to Vegas in a minute, but what got you to LA?
New York. I was in New York for 10 years. I lived in Harlem. I got my equity card doing a bus and truck tour. And so that's how I, doing regional shows, summer stock. I mean, I really am a, product of the process. You go out there and you do the shows. And so that's how I built my resume before. And then I did 2 years in LA. Then I went to Cleveland and worked at the Caribou House and Great Lakes Theater Festival.
Yeah.
And I did that for almost 2 years. I was a working Cleveland actor.
Right.
Then I went to New York.
Right.
And I felt like going from Cleveland to New York was a great, it gave me the confidence that I needed to compete in New York. And then from New York, I moved to LA, and I was in LA for about 8 years.
Right. Right. You may remember that we have Cleveland in common because, my dad was at Cleveland Playhouse from 47 to 52 and was actually a director at Caribou House while he was there as well. And then I was back at Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival, which became Great Lakes Theater in 1980. So, we share that. So I actually loved Cleveland. I loved my time there. Sometimes it gets a bad rap, but it's got a lot of good stuff going for it.
Yeah.
So you're multidimensional, which is one of the things I love about you. And you have some of the old school skills. You're an awesome tapper. How did you pick up being a tapper? When did you learn, and why? What appealed to you about doing that?
That's a great question. So with tap, during my weekends, I would go to the Cleveland Music Settlement. And the Cleveland Music Settlement in Cleveland, it's a huge music institution where there's this community where they turn these old brick houses into basically a music school. And so they have their own orchestra. You can go and take your music classes. And so I was taking piano and theory, and I remember walking down the hall one day, and this 80, he must have been in this, like, to me at the time he looked 80. He must have been at least in his late 70s. And he walked up to me and he said, "You look like you could be a tap dancer." Well, come to find out, he was the only guy in this community teaching jazz hoofing tap to the kids, because they had a strong ballet program, but no one was teaching tap, and he's a hoofer. So that was a unique thing. So, when he saw me, this black kid walking around, he goes, and so, he became my teacher, and he gave me privates, and he lived in a senior home. So on Saturdays, after I left the settlement or whenever it worked out, I'd go and I would have tap classes with him in his recreation room.
I love it when I see your shows and, you know, you do about 2/3 of the show and nobody even thinking about it. And then suddenly you break into some tap and the whole show like lifts to another place and everybody goes, oh my gosh, that too? It's great. It's great. So you're also a serious actor. You've also, you know, lots of plays. What are some of the highlights? What are some of the plays you've done that have made you, that have been the most satisfying for you and have made you go, this is why I'm here and this is where I belong?
Well, I did a show called Hoodoo Love, which was a great, the playwright is at the top of my tongue right now. Great play. I've done, I mean, even when I was at the Beck Center in Cleveland, I was in Fences.
Yeah.
You know, that was great. Jitney, you know.
Right.
Breath and Imagination is quite formidable for me because the acting and the singing are comparable. So I had to do both. I really liked roles, tour de force roles where I get to do both. You know, I think that's, you know, one of my strong suits is I can carry both. So Breath and Imagination was quite significant. And also I just played Porgy. I did the first ever jazz adaptation of Porgy and Porgy Bess at the Ensemble Theater. And that was amazing. So, I played Coalhouse in Ragtime, for example, at the Forestburg Playhouse. So, you know, I would like to play Coalhouse on a major regional stage. I think I'm ready for that. I'm a prime age to play Coalhouse. And it would be, I mean, with everything going on now, I mean, this would be the time for me to play Coalhouse. So we'll see.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit now because there's so many more, you know, things you've done. You've been a busy guy your whole career. But the last, up until this COVID shutdown of everything, for the last year or so, you've been starring in the Vegas show called what isn't it?
Vegas the show.
Vegas the show at Planet Hollywood. You want to talk a little bit about that experience and what that's been like?
Well, you know, it's funny. When I came here, I saw the show and I thought, this is a cool show. I didn't anticipate that I would be in the show. I was just coming back and forth to Vegas and checking out shows. And I thought, So I heard this show was a good show and I liked it. And then about a month later, I get a call out of the blue about the main African-American role. You know, they needed another guy. And I was recording my album at the time, and I was thinking, well, why not have a steady in Vegas? I've never been a lead on the Strip. The show is a classic, nostalgic show about classic Las Vegas. The only show on the Strip that, you know, that caters to the whole ethos of Las Vegas and its roots. And so I get to do some Sammy stuff in the show, which is great. And I went in on a Thursday and I had the gig that, like, within 2 days I was on board, starting rehearsals the next week. And it's been great. It's been great because I share the role with another guy. So I don't have to do, you know, the show runs 7 days a week. And I think out of those 7, 5 are like double shows. So that's a lot. So I get to split the role with another guy, gives me time to do what I want to do. I'm on the Strip. And you know what I found out, which is so interesting? And I'm not, you know, this is no slam to Vegas, but I as a thespian, I never saw Vegas as that was never really a goal to be performing in Vegas outside of club dates. Mm-hmm. But what I came to realize was how many people around the country see Vegas shows as a big deal.
Right.
Almost comparable to Broadway. it's not like they're going to see a Broadway show, but they're going to see a Vegas show, and they know what that is, and there's so many people that like that. Just like there are people who like Broadway and the story and the whole. But Vegas shows aren't that way. They're like entertainment, party, forget about your woes, escapism.
Right.
They don't require you to do a whole lot of thinking, but they do require you to be entertained.
Right.
And our show is very entertaining. So I have to say, it's been a great experience.
I saw it, you were nice enough to get me tickets, and I came to see it, with a little trepidation, because I'm not a big Vegas show guy, but I actually ended up enjoying it a lot. I thought it was fun and really a fun look back at what Vegas was, kind of.
Yeah.
Not so much what it is now, because it's kind of changed a lot, but what it was when I was younger, and it actually made me feel good. And it was very well done, and you were awesome in it.
Thank you.
So it's been closed now since March. Is that right? It shut down in March?
Yeah.
Is that right? So you were talking about giving you time to think about stuff. So you've had time to think about stuff. We all have during this quiet time. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking about the theater, the future, the world, how we all fit in it with all the stuff going on in the world right now? What are your thoughts?
Well, I just wrote a book.
I didn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something for your audience. I'm gonna be back in less than 2 seconds.
Well, in the meantime, while Elijah's gone, I'm going to recite to you the complete works of Sophocles. No, maybe not. He's back. All right.
So,
wait. I got to put my glasses on to see that.
This is my pre-copy. My pre-copy.
Fine Art of Romance. I love it.
So the Fine Art of Romance.
Tell me about it.
Bachelor's Handbook.
Okay. Tell me about it.
Well, it's really about the virtues of manhood and courtship. And it's really about men tapping into their authentic selves as we court, and the reverence that when we're courting in the right way, that brings out our adoration and our reverence for women. And that's, and I take guys through, like, because now we date online.
Yeah. How
to set up a profile, how to put a wardrobe together. But then I kind of go into the other things that are important as well. Authenticity, being honest, with what your intentions are, and stuff like that. So it's kind of like challenging us single guys to step up and also attract, what I call A-list women, who are like women who are on their purpose and doing great things, and how to communicate with a woman who is a force to be reckoned with, because a lot of young women these days are doing a lot of powerful things, and some men are intimidated by their success, and it shouldn't be intimidating. We should honor their success.
Yeah. So what do you see for yourself? So you're going to do Vegas. Hopefully Vegas, the show is going to reopen soon, as Vegas is trying to reopen completely. It's partly reopened now, but I don't think the shows are back up.
Yeah.
So have you heard any word? Is that going to happen more? And if it does, how long do you want to stick with it? And what are your plans beyond it?
Well, so I talked to Clint Holmes the other day, for example. We were talking about just the timing. He's a legend, Vegas local entertainer. And we both think that we're probably not going to be back on stage until, like, shows in Vegas probably will not come back until next year.
Yeah.
That said, for me, in addition to this subject that I'm interested in, like, for example, with this book, I just finished the audiobook. On the audiobook, I open up every chapter with some of my music, like 5 seconds, and then I actually offer a bonus track at the end. And the prism by which I write this book, The Fine Art of Romance, it's through an artistic prism, because I sing love songs for a living. So I've taken these love songs and I've kind of broken them down in a way that kind of help for courtship. So that's how I've been able to, and then I'm creating a podcast. I'm launching a podcast that's going to be an eclectic podcast. And I'm probably going to ask you, I'm quite sure I'm going to be asking you to be on my podcast, but I'm interested in, I have such an eclectic group of people that I know in all walks of life who are experts at what they do. And I want to, share. And so I have a whole album and a Spanish EP that's finished and in the can. So my next album is done, mastered, ready to go. I have 2 music videos in the can ready to go and 3 EPKs that are ready to go. And right now we're shopping to the labels to see who we might do a distribution deal with. So I'm busy. I'm busier now than I was pre-COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I don't think that entertainment's going to come back in Vegas anytime soon. I know everyone is optimistic. They want Vegas to come back. The casinos are in like phase 2. We have not moved to phase 3 because there was a spike recently. And I don't think Vegas is going to come back because there's no international travel.
Yeah, right.
No one's, I went to the casino last night just for a cocktail. It's, it's sparse. I mean, people are kind of walking around with their masks, few people gambling, but it's nowhere close to what it was before.
Yeah,
so,
right.
If I didn't have so many other outlets and interests and ways to incorporate my music with the other and content and intellectual property that I'm putting out, I probably would be more depressed about it, because I love to perform. I've been performing, my whole life. I don't, it's what I know, it's what I do. But I have other interests. And if it's a year for me to go back on, I'm going to stay show ready. I am going to be like, if they called me today, I could get back on stage quick. So that's my job as an artist, is to stay ready to go. But if I, what's a year? Really, in the scope of things.
It's what you make of it, right?
Yeah, in the scope of things, what's a year? It's going to be about a year. And here's the thing. I think this is an incredible opportunity for Vegas to redefine entertainment in Vegas. Cirque du Soleil, as may know, is undergoing a potential bankruptcy.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And as you know, Cirque has had a monopoly on Vegas entertainment.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are Cirqued out. At this point, if you've been to a Cirque show, you've kind of been to the Cirque shows,
Right.
And the price point, the ticket prices are so high, it's very tough.
Right.
How does a family come and see a Cirque show, pay resort fees and parking fees? I think Vegas got away from really taking care of the locals.
Yeah.
And so I think this is an incredible time for entertainment to figure out, like, okay, the big shows and the big venues aren't relevant anymore.
So Elijah, you're talking about all the stuff, your music and Vegas and your book and your music videos and your intellectual properties. How are we going to get you back on the stage as an actor? We miss you as an actor too. How are we going to get you back as a serious actor? How are you going to have time? How are you going to have the energy to do that?
I know. It's one of those things where, like, I love acting, and I want to do, like, for example, I know you've asked me to be a part of certain things, and I just want to do something that has legs. You know what I mean? Like when I did Breath and Imagination in at the Colony Theater, that led to me doing a Breath and Imagination at the Cleveland Playhouse and the Boston Paramount.
Right.
So it had a life.
Right.
So I feel like if I'm gonna do something, I would like to do something that's such a meaty role and such an exciting role where it can go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yes, I would like to do it for just my own artistic merit and exercise, but time is money, you know. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
I hear you.
I mean, especially if you're committing 2 months. I mean, that's the thing. It's like in plays, right? It's 2 months of it dedicated. And with your show, with Words by Ira, it was like, how do you refuse? You know, I mean, none of us got rich off that production, but that's not the point. It was an incredible production, and it was a role that, again, it had legs because out of that role came me doing a Gershwin album.
Right.
And I knew coming out of, I didn't have the intent to make an album when I did the show, but I knew that I would learn so much Gershwin material that for my live performances or just for my book, that I would have a lot more songs in my book, and I was getting paid to learn the songs. So I was like, this is 2 thumbs up. This is great.
Right. Well, it's so great to talk to you today. I miss seeing you in person. I hope we're able to do that again really soon.
Yes.
I always like it when we get together and hang out. So
yeah.
Hopefully that's going to happen really soon, Elijah. Thank you for doing this today for our audience so they get to peek behind a little bit and get to know you a little bit.
Thank you. They can always follow me on my Instagram or Facebook and see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you again. Everyone at North Coast has been awesome. I mean, you guys have just the most amazing audiences and just the warmth. Oh. And I'm grateful to know you. And thank you for having me a part of your community, man.
Vice versa. It's a pleasure. I miss you. So I'll see you soon.
You too. Thank you.
Had me searching high and low for melodies and rhymes aglow. I found Gershwin for my soul, and it's music for